let's dive into this. We'll take a few minutes. If you have any other stories that you see that we don't mention tonight, please mention in the comments what stories and what game announcements grabbed your attention in the past few weeks. But let's start out with one that grabbed both of our attentions, and that was Ticket to Ride Legends of the West. Now, interesting discussion on the Discord about this. There was some meh, right? There was some this is awesome, and some I'm going to eventually play this. So it was interesting to see the reaction to it because Legacy has been a thing now for a while. There's a lot more Legacy out there. Did Ticket Ride need to go Legacy? And the thing that interests me about this is, quite honestly, I was in the middle. This is a game I'm eventually going to play, and Ticket to Ride is so approachable. This is a Legacy game. I can say confidently, if it ends up in my possession, it will actually get finished.
Yeah.
And that's what excites me about Ticket to Ride. Now, I saw MSRP on it. I'm not jumping in on this right away. That is the other piece.
120?
Yeah, it was like $119.99, so 120. So 120, I need to know more. I'm not jumping right away. I'm not going, yep, immediate buy. But I don't know. What was your reaction with this news? Because we saw the teaser come out, and I'm pretty sure most people are like, oh, it's gonna be Legacy. That was generally what people were expecting when I talked.
That's what all the comments had. That I saw most of the comments were. I initially, I'm suspicious of everything at this point when it comes to these announcements. So part of me was like, that's not real. that's just like a joke. And then everyone said that that's what it was, and I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I was like, okay, thinking about it more as a concept, the price out of the conversation, right? That's totally
throw the price out when you're talking about the value.
It makes sense. I think it makes sense. I think obviously Ticket to Ride is one of the most well-known games at this point. It's an evergreen. It's available everywhere. There are no shortage of expansions or different maps that you can play. There's smaller, shorter versions that have a smaller table presence in a smaller box. It is very welcoming and is very approachable, and a lot of people obviously love it because it sells like crazy. So I think there is a market for this, especially since the Legacy thing is so big. There's not as many. A lot of the Legacy games are pretty complex by nature, right? It's this unraveling story where you think of Pandemic Legacy and all these things happen to different cities, and these new characters come out, or even Gloomhaven, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. This is I think, a very, very, very toned down, family friendly Legacy experience where I'm guessing you will probably expand a map of the US. I think it'll probably be pretty parallel to the way that the train system kind of grew historically. I'm just, again, I'm just guessing on that part. I have not read much about it other than that. But because they make these Ticket to Ride like younger version, like First Journey and the Ghost Halloween one and stuff like that, I think this is a great idea for families to play. You're guaranteeing that you'll get whatever amount of plays out of it. It could be a dozen, it could be 20, whatever. And if you're looking for a family game night, this is the perfect reason to get to the table repeatedly. I think it's a great move. How will it sell? I have no clue.
Well, it's 12. It is apparently 12. So games. You're talking $10 a game if you were pricing it at the 120. So are you going to get that value? Fair question.
Yeah.
But from the concept of the game, I'm very pro this. I will say kind of excited, but I also am not going to be jumping at the price. That's that. Yeah. But eventually I will own this, and eventually I will play this, and I want to play it. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
When this news came out, I do want to play this. I mean, I want us all to play it. I would love for, whoever to come up and play it, from the Discord, come on over, go to the our studio, right? And get a game in, and play this through, because I think this is a very feasible game to do.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what the end product is, meaning when you play through the whole thing. Are you left with a playable Ticket to Ride map? I guess you would be. I would assume you would be. And so at that point, is it worth it? maybe if you don't own any Ticket to Ride games, maybe this is the best thing for you, perhaps. But I mean, I guess my fear is at the end of this game, are you just going to have a Ticket to Ride game that is kind of similar to what you already have on your shelf? You
Yeah.
just took a while to build it that way. Like I don't see many plot twists in this legacy style, but
Yeah.
Orion does say that it's supposed to be replayable after the legacy part is over. I would imagine that it would be.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, that would be cool. Everyone has maybe you end up with a different map than somebody else who played it all the
yeah,
way through too. Who knows?
I will be interested. But in other news, we've seen some interesting announcements over the past few weeks. One of the ones that is a little bit, I think, more personal. We bring it up because it's me and you here tonight. There was no way we weren't going to talk about this. The designers of Motor City and Three Sisters and these guys, Matt's been on the channel. Uh, they have always delivered, right? And so this got announced. We had a chance. I had a chance to play like the slight pre-version, got a little bit of a taste of it. Like with the semi-printed out components that I didn't print them well. It didn't make for as good of experience as this will be.
Sure.
But thematically, I love this. This announcement, I think, is interesting though, not just because it's a, a successful series, but what I find interesting is from little bit of play that I've had and from everything I'm hearing in comparison, it takes a step back from maybe the level of challenge that Motor City had
Sure.
and takes it down a notch and is more towards that Fleet the Dice game level. And Fleet the Dice game is not the first roll and rate I give anyone, but it's still, I think, less complicated and easier to grasp than say Motor City.
I
So
think
it
so. Yep.
is interesting that they made that decision, I think.
Yep. But what's cool is what I think. I agree with you totally. I think it is a little less. Um, I don't know if it's going to be less combo-y, but I think there might be less decisions to make. I don't know. I didn't try it out. But what's cool is this besides dice also has cards, right? So this is
Yeah.
like a flip and roll and write.
Yes.
And the theme is fantastic. I mean, if you're not familiar, the French Quarter is an area of New Orleans, which is a very hopping city known for its very explosive music scene and food scene. It's just a great party place to be. If you've never experienced it, it's a great time. So the whole point of this game is you have I think like one day in the French Quarter at 8 hours, and you're going to try to do as much as possible.
Yep.
So I'm guessing those are the 8 rounds in the game. But you're just trying to have fun. You're trying to go. It almost sounds like a Tokaido thing where you're just trying to do the most cool touristy stuff you can in X amount of time. Go listen to music, see a street performer, eat a po' boy, march in a parade, all that kind of good stuff. I think this one is going to look fantastic on the table.
Yeah, the objectives in this really, that's what you've got your clear objectives. Rachel, by the way, speaking to Ticket to Ride, says, I feel the same way about it. It's agreeing with us. If it's a Christmas gift, maybe I would play it, but otherwise I can wait for price drop. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm with you there. Per this game, Danielle pointing out, well, I like Three Sisters. I'm not sure if this one is for me yet, but I look forward to seeing the gameplay for it. Yeah, and it's interesting because I still think I like Three Sisters better than Motor City. Like I really like Three Sisters, but I couldn't care less about the theme of Three Sisters. I couldn't. I don't. There's so many plants and other but it grabbed me, and I love the combos in it. Motor City, I still am kind of grasping at all the ways I
yeah.
can succeed, and that's where it's winning. But yeah, this one, I love the theme. I'm agreeing with Ryan. French Quarters, New Orleans is awesome. I think this will draw people in. And visually, I like the look of it. So
Yeah, and I'm
it's
just I'm just so impressed with these guys. I mean, they're pumping out games like Stephen King pumps out novels at this point. Like I'd love to see what's. I can't wait to see what else is coming. I said that before Motor City came out. And I'm going to say it again when French Quarter's on its way, and I hope that I keep saying it because they have a really good thing going on here with Motor City GameWorks.
well, we do have the second coming of something, and that is Gloomhaven.
Hmm.
This got announced really what, today, I think, as we're
I
talking
think
about it.
so. I can't believe this game is like 6 years old already.
I
It's
know,
insane.
but the second edition, and
Yep.
anytime second editions happen, and they happen all the time, people are going to talk about it. If you own the game, you're going to talk about it. Do I need this one? Do I not need this one? If you really played for Gloomhaven and they've updated things, as they say, there's more here now. But at the same time, it can be a sore spot for some people. So I always find those second edition announcements really interesting. But that's why, and I go back to Rachel talking about luxury. This is a great example of why the board game hobby is, if you're really into it, a luxury. Because to even have in the thought in my head of I need another Gloomhaven. I've got for many people, so I've got Gloomhaven, I've got Frosthaven. I need Gloomhaven second edition. Now, that's a choice, and I'll be interested what Ryan has to say when he comes back to this in a greater. I mean, I know he could say it in the comments, but I'll be very interested in how people who love Gloomhaven are feeling about this as they see the announcements and go through. And then I've been reading it, and there's mixed reactions to it, but second editions are, a part of the business. When a game does good, there's going to be a second edition.
Now, what do you know what's new about this?
So they said quite a few things about this, but let me pull up I pulled a list aside earlier. In second edition, let me find that article.
I thought there was something about it being more compatible with other stuff. I'm sorry, I apologize. I know very little about Gloomhaven.
Yes,
I've only
no. So
played the
I'm
game
pulling
once.
up that. One of the quotes that stood out. Uh, Ryan saying you might check out later. Depends if his kids sleep. Childress says about this. There's obviously been community feedback over the years. We've kind of brought in everything in line to make the classes all feel the same, but they'll still feel fun to play and more fun in some cases. And then he says we basically rewritten everything.
Wow.
We've brought this conflict between the merchants and the military to the forefront of the story. So the revised version, players are going to quote unquote feel more empowered to throw their lot in with one of the 3 different factions. And I won't get into all the nitty gritty for those who haven't played, but there's 3 factions in it. And then basically through the actions, players have a better ability to bring their faction to power. So it sounds as though they're trying to bring better integration between these characters, make you more likely to throw in, and try to make it. I don't know if you can take a game that is clearly very immersive and make it even more immersive, but it looks like that's what this is trying to do. But it sounds like a genuinely different game. And then it also includes a set of more than 600 new miniatures.
Oh my god.
So if you own Gloomhaven already, you may be buying this. That's the crazy thing, right? Like second editions are second editions, but this is a big investment in a second edition. And God, I know a ton of people who've got Frosthaven sitting around. Like they haven't got to Frosthaven.
Yep. Haven't even opened it yet, probably.
Literally, if the only game you played was Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, and then Gloomhaven second edition, that's a lot of gaming. You don't need, look at behind us. Look at behind you. Look behind me. I wouldn't get to play those. So Gloomhaven's not for me in that way anymore, but I jump into a game with anybody. I really do appreciate the world. I think it is incredible, but it's a big deal. This is a big deal. I know for a lot of people, but I like games sometimes smaller, Anthony. And so I wanted to end on one final little bit of announcement that came out recently and one that excited me because this one only costs $5.
That's quite the difference in the last 2 games we talked about.
Yes, it is. And that's Waypoints. We have a copy right now that we are also going to get to the table. It may be individually, it may be together. I'm not sure. But we've got a copy of this Waypoints. It is the latest game from Postmark Games. And I will tell you the thing about Postmark Games to me is every game I played from them has been a delightful experience. This game in particular is a winner for me for a few reasons. From my first attempt at playing it, I was just having a good time. That is good news, Rachel. I can bring that up in a moment. but with waypoints, it's hiking theme. So that draws me in. And you think about these guys do games with maps and hiking, cartography. I mean, it's such a perfect combination. So the excitement is very real for me on waypoints. I'm looking forward to you giving it a try at some point. We've got that first map that we can all try right now, quite frankly, and I've got the first one printed out and I've tried it a little bit and I'm kind of learning it. But I'm excited to talk more about this one. But I
Cool.
wanted to bring this in the news because I do think for our community in particular, we've had a lot of folks really get into that print and play, and I think print and play is so huge right now. I think I've backed multiple print and plays. I backed more print and plays in the last 6 months than I backed ever before. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's basically instant gratification, right? You're getting the product as soon as the campaign's over. It's
Yeah.
yours. It's sometimes even before you get, like you said, you get at least a taste of it or something. So there's
I'm
no
tr-
waiting for shipping.
I'm trying to remember. You know what? The other one I backed is bugging me because I can't remember. Oh, I backed recently Uncharted Stars by Scott Alms, which looks fantastic too. I don't know if anyone backed that. Let me know in the comments. Rachel brings up a great potential news story, and I will bring up her comment. And this is true. Rolling Realms announced 4 new cards, so that was pretty exciting. Um, Rolling Realms continuing to expand and grow. So Stonemaier has been, and they'll keep doing that. The other thing Stonemaier is doing right now actually is they're doing. Jamie's been playing. I think I saw it the other day, like through 30 or 60 of all the created realms that people have made, and he's just like
Oh, cool.
he's playing with all of these other designs that other people came up with from games that they loved. And I think it takes me back to when the game first came out, Rolling Realms,
Sure.
which was during the pandemic. And really, that's all this was about, like a way to play a game on games together,
Yeah,
and
it's such a great
you know,
origin story for a game.